Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to, in case you missed it, episode number 43. Can you believe we've been going this long? I uh, I reluctantly did this after a couple of years of having my arm twisted, and I'm glad I did. It's been a lot of fun. Got to meet a lot of great people, have a lot of great conversation. Speaking of not so great, though, today has been a real cruddy day. So, actually, the last 2 or 3 days have not been great. Uh, let's put aside how terrible rates are. I get here. Well, first of all, the last 2 days, cell phone signal has been awful, awful, awful. And before you tell me, oh, Todd, you need this network, you need that network, I have Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile. And still, there was significant amounts of time where I didn't have signal on any of them. And so it's just the part of the country I'm running. Right now, I'm about an hour west of Denver. I'm on my way to Denver. So probably after the show tonight, I'll drive that last hour. The place I'm going, I know they don't have any overnight truck parking. And you know how Denver fills up at night. So I'm not too sure if I'm not just better off spending the night here and running over there super early in the morning. I'll make that decision in the next little bit. But anyway, I get parked. I'm at one of these scenic overlook things on I-70, and I'm sitting here setting up my Bluetooth and my hotspots and, getting ready for the show. And I look out my window, and my APU is just pouring smoke. So I get out of the truck to go look at it. I step in a big snow pile. I've got snow all over my leg now. Go back there. I believe that maybe I've got a bad fuel filter on my APU. It's not a big deal. It's about a week and a half or 2 weeks away from when I had mentally scheduled the oil change for it. And so I'm going to probably have to accelerate that a little bit and do the oil change a little sooner than what I would have normally done it. I've got the oil right here. I've already ordered the oil for the truck and the APU. They're both coming due. But man, it just one of those days. Had grease all over me. I was trying to get off before the show, and my leg was freezing cold and soaking wet. And so I'm idling the truck right now. You may notice a mild vibration in the truck as I'm having to idle because the batteries will go dead if I sit here and talk to you guys for a couple hours with everything running I've got running in here right now. But enough of that. Let's say hi to the channel members. We're way down, way down. And I attribute that to a lot of gift memberships were given and people's 30 days are up. And I don't know if either they don't know how to subscribe or they don't have the finances to subscribe. Me personally, having the kind of week I've had and realizing how bad people are hurting out here, I'm looking at some things I can do to the channel to kind of make it easier for your guys. For example, I'm considering lowering the price on that top tier plan where you can see where I'm located in the country and things like that. And so, man, I tell you, I feel it right now. It's rough out here. And but anyway, enough of that. Let's say let's say hi to all the channel members. If you're curious about being a channel member, click on the join button at the bottom of the video, and all of those details will be right there. Starting with the original channel member, the very first, we have Ramon, Robbie Ross, Corey Oatley, Midlife Trucker, Red Raider Reloading, Randy's Road Life, Smaller Holler, Oaser DM, Roger Berry, Armando Perez, Bobby, RGB, Gary Cook, My Name is Nobody, Trucker Dan, and Tattooed Trucker, KC, and rounding off the top 18 now, we're down to 18, is my good friend Skyhook Trucker, who does the Trucker Todd Tuggers. If you're more interested in more information, that's scrolling across the bottom of your screen in the ticker. It's got an email there where you can contact him. Also, if you'd like to bring your truck, you already got a truck, you'd like to bring it over here to SRO with me, got more questions, Scott's email's there. That's safety at SRO Logistics. Reach out to him and he'll answer all your questions. All right, with all that being said, let's get back up here and get to some of your comments. Very first in here today was channel member Gary Cook. He says, I'm parked in Salisbury, North Carolina. I'll try to be tuned in. Good deal. I appreciate that. We started about 30 minutes late today, actually about an hour late today. So I realized we'd have a smaller viewership than normal because of that. But I'm glad those of you are here that could be here. Robbie Ross, channel member. Hiya, friends. I'm from my home in Phoenix. Good deal, man. I'm glad you're getting some home time in. Dawn is here and says good evening to everyone. Daryl is here and says, hey, Todd. Hey, Daryl. Thanks for coming in. Mud Trucking. Hello, Trucker Todd. I hope you're doing all right, buddy. Yeah, it's one of those deals. It's frustrating when something breaks. And the other day, the truck air conditioner, I'd been off a few days. I get in the truck, crank it up, it's blowing hot air. And I'm like, oh, crud. And so I couldn't figure out what it was, I was like, well, crap, I got to go pick up my load. So I went and picked up my load, shut the truck off while I was picking up my load, cranked my truck up after I got the load, and it's blowing cold. I mean, freeze you out of there cold. And I talked to Scott about it because he's really smart on air conditioning, things like that. And he said I probably had a low pressure switch that was sticking or something. But either way, it hadn't gave me a second of problems since then. But APU, of course, it's not a DOT violation for it not to work. So it's not something I've got to get right this second fixed or dealt with. But it is a money saver. It is a convenience thing, and it's something that will get fixed really, really soon. Probably after I get unloaded tomorrow, or at the very latest this weekend. P.U. Patel, is it a tri-pack or a carrier? It is a tri-pack. And channel member Ramon says he's here. I'm glad to have you, my friend. Channel member Gary Cook, it's rough everywhere. Yeah, I'm just now getting to a point where I really feel it while I'm working now. Obviously, when I had the accident, I felt it. I was off for a substantial amount of time. When the Kenworth went down, obviously I felt it. I was down for a substantial amount of time. But right now is the first time I've really felt it while I was working. And man, it's rough right now. The rates are just terrible. Loads that there was one the other day, I was talking to Scott about this. The load used to pay me $21.50. I'd done it like 4 or 5 times. That exact same load was on the load board for $11.50, almost half price. And it was still a decent rate, but it, our cost hasn't got cut in half. It just seems really unfair and really tough right now. Of course, like my parents always used to say, the world ain't fair. So I guess I need to quit whining and complaining and either take it or move on to something else. But I got to tell you, one of my relatives, one of my uncles, is a rideshare driver, and he told me what he was making there in good old Lubbock, Texas. And I was like, man, maybe I need to get a 4-door sedan and haul people around. No Fear says, hey, everyone. Corey Oatley, channel member, rates still way down. Do you suppose Q2 will be better? Well, I was watching Trucking Made Successful the other day, and she said that the dry van rates on average were $1.93 a mile right now. I can tell you that I'm way above that, but it doesn't seem to matter because of inflation. So what happens is I make really decent money, but because everything's so high, it doesn't seem like I make really good money, if that makes any sense. I I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that I'm doing better than most or a lot of drivers are right now. But I mean, it's not right for a guy that's been driving 27 years. And Scott and I were talking about this the other day for other drivers about reasonable expectations. And some of these drivers, I want to work 4 days a week and take home $5,000. It's not a reasonable expectation. But neither is I want to work 7 days a week and take home 800. And I'm taking home a lot more than 800, but I know guys that are doing it. I know guys that are taking home 600, and it's just really tough right now. We had a super chat. I think's what they call these, and I didn't see it. Deontay Butler with the $1.99 super chat. Yeah, things are going okay. He says, hope all is going well. Things are going okay. I'm just whining this week. That APU starting to smoke. I know what it is. I've had that happen before. I just need to replace the fuel filters, but it's due for a service or coming due for a service. So I'll just change the oil and everything all at once. But it's just frustrating. It's one thing after another, and it's nobody's fault. So before y'all start, well, quit there and come to my company, or quit there and go to my company. This stuff could happen at any company. So switching companies is not the answer. Toughen it out is the answer. But to get back to Corey's question, uh, I I'm a general optimist. I just believe that it is going to get better. Um, Scott thinks it's going to get better too. Somebody told me Landstar said they think it's going to get better towards the end of Q3, but I think it's going to happen sooner than that. 18 wheeler. Hey, Todd, do you run the spot market? Yes, sir, I do. And Deontay Butler, who just gave us the super chat, says he is checking in. I'm glad you're here, my friend. And Ramon, channel member, says, uh, working local this week. Oh, that must be nice. Be around the house. Channel member Ramon, don't you miss the KW? I miss things about the KW. I like the cooled seats. I like the big factory refrigerator. There were some things like that I liked, but this Freightliner has a lot of cool features, and one of those cool features is a cheaper payment, and it's got the APU in this one is better than the APU that was in my Kenworth. So there's some trade-offs there. But to answer your question, yeah, sometimes I miss the KW, but I'm always grateful to have the one I'm in. P.U. Patel, use the show for rideshare. Yeah, that's actually my wife's car, and I don't see that happening. But while we're talking about rideshare, it's always a grass is greener on the other side of the fence scenario. So, if my health got bad and I couldn't drive a truck no more, that might be a way to go. But, you know, you always hear drivers say, well, I could go flip hamburgers and make this much. But in all reality, you couldn't. And, I may get on here and moan and complain and say, oh, I could go do rideshare and make this much. And it's comparing apples and oranges. Obviously, I make more out here, but I also have more expense out here. And so the final in the bank number, it's hard to say, but it's definitely way closer than what it should be for sacrificing and being away from home and living basically in a closet. A truck's like the size of a closet. So there are some trade-offs there, good and bad, but it is an apples and oranges comparison. And yeah, that's what I'd say about that. But it definitely wouldn't be in the show. My wife would not go for that. Channel member Ramon, in my 25 years, only have had one KW and 88 KW, T600, 425 cat, 13 speed. Have a bunch of Freightliners. Well, yeah, that was back when Kenworth really built trucks. Now they're plastic. Um, a lot of them are the PACCAR engine, and they're real hit and miss. Some people do great with them and never have a problem. Mine did great until it broke, and then nobody wanted to work on it except the dealers, and the dealers knew they had you, so they could take their time and charge you whatever they wanted to. And so, yeah, but I like those old trucks. The problem is when you get before a pre-ELD truck, a lot of companies don't want you to lease on. They want you to lease on a truck that they can plug their ELD into. And you can't really blame them. It keeps DOT scrutiny to a minimum. Gary Cook, channel member, I'm not making a lot of money, but I'm making enough to pay my bills. Yeah, that's about all we can all say really right now. That was channel member Gary Cook. Um, I'm not, am I doing without meals? I think that's obvious. I'm not. Are the bills getting paid? Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes they're a little late, but they're all getting paid. Do I know things are going to get better sometime? And yeah, I do. And so it's just seeing if I can hang in there. There's an episode of Star Trek that's perfect for this analogy. And McCoy and William Shatner and all of them are in the ship, and Leonard Nimoy, Spock, is out there, and this giant lizard man is chasing him. And Spock is trying to make this contraption to kill the lizard. And one of them asked, I think it was William Shatner, asked McCoy, he said, is Spock going to be able to kill the lizard? And McCoy says, if he has the time. And this economy is basically the lizard in my life. And by working hard, I'm trying to make the contraption to kill the lizard man. But the ultimate question is, do I have the time? Can I hang on long enough until things get better? And that's the same question we're all wrestling with right now. Can we just hang on till the rates come back up? And believe it or not, brokers are asking themselves the same question. We're seeing brokers like Convoy go under. We're seeing brokers like Coyote being considered for sale. UPS is looking about selling them out. And several others of the click and goes are on their way out because they bid the rates too low and now they can't get them covered. And there's some other factors as well. I'm oversimplifying it, but yeah, if I've got the time, I'll be just fine. But right now, I would describe my situation as treading water. Am I putting thousands of dollars away in the bank right now? No. Matter of fact, I've shared on here. You guys know I'm going to keep it real, keep it honest with you. I don't know if I'm going to be able to go to Matt's. They sent me and the guy that's supposed to assist me there with media credentials. They consider me an influencer, so I get in free, get to do all the fun stuff, and so I'm going to do my best to go. But man, I don't know. I spend a lot of money while I'm there. It hurts not running for those days. I'm getting some business cards made right now. Also, something else I hadn't shared yet. You remember when I got that teeth pulled? Well, now I've got a bone spur coming out the side of my jaw. And you can't see it right now, but my face is starting to swell. Now, I've been told sometimes those bone spurs will break off on their own and everything's fine. But if it continues to hurt, I'll have to go to the dentist again, which now I've got dental insurance. Saw this coming, but still, it's always something, just like I was saying. Okay, we got to skip down and do some stuff real quick. My good friend, channel member Robbie Ross, gifted 5 Trucker Todd memberships. Let's congratulate the guys that now have Trucker Todd memberships. You guys are going to really benefit because if I do get to go to Matt's, there will be a lot of member content that will be released several days before it will be released to everybody else. So you'll get to almost join me at Matt's in real time, see what I see and things like that, talk to who I talk to, things like that. So it may be a lot of fun. Okay, the ones that benefited from that today, this was chosen by YouTube. It wasn't me or Robbie Ross that did this. But again, big shout out to Robbie Ross, who's a channel member. Thank you for supporting the channel like you do. PU Patel, 18 Wheeler, H Man, Jordan B, a trucker named Tim, all received channel memberships. YouTube selects people that are active in the comments and gives them to them. So these are people that YouTube has recognized as being real active in the channel. And so I would encourage each of you to comment as you can. And YouTube will take note of that. And as people give out gift memberships, you never know, you may be next. Channel member Robbie Ross. I was out for a month. My second to last load was a nice run for me from Ohio to Victorville, California. Had detention on Shippers End, then a load from Victorville to Phoenix. Customer left a partial pallet. Yeah, I was meaning when we were texting last, I was meaning to ask you what ended up happening with that pallet, if you had to take it to like a food bank or what happened. Gary Cook, channel member, APUs don't last forever. Yeah, but this one it doesn't have that many hours on it. You would expect to get more use out of something that's, $14,000 or so. I've seen APUs with 25, 30,000 miles on it. I mean, hours on them. And this one's got like 10 or 11 on it. So you wouldn't think it would have those issues, but I don't think it's anything internal. Like I said, I would bet money it's either a fuel pump, which I replaced on that Kenworth, or a fuel filter. And neither one of them are horribly terrible jobs if you got to have them done. I think we're talking hundreds instead of thousands, which is a relief. $18-wheeler freight at Mercer is paying $1.50 or less in the West, so I'm sitting for now. Yeah, man, and I would love to start bashing Mercer and say, oh, them cheap freight people and blah, 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 but I'm seeing that on the spot market. And I look on the largest load board, which is DAT, and I also look on a lot of the click and goes. And I even this week, I was calling some brokers that I've dealt with in the past that I have a good reputation with. And they were going, Todd, we'd love to work with you. We have nothing. And so, I think it's something we're all going through. I will say this about Mercer. I've never worked for them, but last year at Matt's, I sat down and had a really good conversation with them. And we even talked about them coming on my Tuesday show. And they were real excited about it. I was the problem there. I just didn't get it set up. But man, I was real impressed with them. They didn't shy away from any questions. They come across as honest. The guy that was assisting me last year had a real positive opinion about them as well when we left there. So yeah, I would say you're probably at a good company, and we're just in unfortunate times. But I get asked pretty often, if I had a choice between Landstar and Mercer, where would I go? And without a doubt, it would be Mercer over Landstar. $18-wheeler. He's got a very tough question. This one's going to be hard for me to answer for you. Todd, I'm looking for a new place to contract onto. What are your fixed costs where you are? This is tough to answer because Scott has a lot of options. You can get your own insurance, or you can he'll recommend a company to you. You can get it that way. His company that he recommends, they have some pretty fair rates. I would recommend. He gives you like a little pamphlet at when you're going through the orientation process. Give them a call and see what kind of quote you can get. Um, as far as trailer rental, it depends which pay package you go with, if you have one of those or not. Of course, you're going to pay your IFTA, and you can either get your own plates or you can get your plates from him. And so this question, I'm not trying to sidestep it, but it's real hard for me to answer that without knowing what kind of truck you got or things like that. This would be one of those that I would recommend just emailing him, safety@srologistics.com. And he's not going to pressure you. He's not going to, you know, say bad things to you if you don't want to come to work there. But just email him, say, hey, I'm a viewer of Trucker Todd, or you don't have to tell him if you don't want to. And I was curious about your company. I've got a this year model truck. I live here. I have my own insurance, I'd need to get insurance through that company you recommend. I'm looking for something where I have a trailer payment. I'm looking for something where I don't have a trailer payment. And he can go over that with you. One thing, probably one of the number one things I like about Scott, and I'm glad you brought this up, is the settlements are real simple. Now, what the very first, and this isn't a lease purchase with Scott, you need to have your own truck, but the very first lease purchase I ever did, those settlements were like 4 pages long and nobody understood them. With Scott, it's very simple. A long settlement for me is 2 pages. He settles after every trip within 2 days is what he says. It's usually the next day if you get it scanned in by 11. But it's real simple, real easy to understand. And so there's some other things that he doesn't even tell you about that make it an even better deal. For example, he includes a lot of things in his percentage part that other companies don't. For example, a lot of companies, if you use their fuel card, they'll charge you a transaction fee. He doesn't charge any transaction fees. He absorbs that. Obviously, you pay your own tolls because you're negotiating your own rates on the spot market. Another thing is he lets you keep 100% of the detention and layover that you collect. And he'll go over with you how that works. But basically on your rate con, you just get it put on a separate line from the line haul, and he gives you 100% of that. And so there's a lot of perks there. And this is, if I was going to be critical of him, this is one thing I'd be critical of. It's actually a better deal than what he tells you. So, and I guess that's a good thing to be critical of, but you're going to get there and go, why didn't you tell me this? It's even better than what you said. And just like I didn't have a clue that we got 100% of the detention. I assumed it was I'm in an 80-20 deal. They have a 75-25 deal. But there were several things that it was actually better than what I was expecting. And so I really am the happiest I've ever been at any company. And so, yeah, it's definitely worth the email to him. And it may be one of those deals you talk to him and you go, Scott, it's not a fit for me right now, but it might be in a few months. Or, Scott, it's a fit for me right now. I'm ready to jump in. But keep in mind, it's not the kind of company that you're going to apply on Monday and be at work by Thursday. He wants to get to know you. He's going to want to talk to you on the phone rather extensively. Him and his wife are going to want to fly out and meet you and your spouse or significant other or whatever. And the reason is he's looking for zero turnover. He's trying to find guys like me that are happy they're here, that like what they're doing, that aren't job hopping. And so he doesn't want you to come here and work 3 weeks and go, it wasn't what I thought it was, or, something like that. Because it costs him several $1,000s to hire a driver. So he's looking for somebody that's committed, that's responsible. Being a small carrier, he's wanting somebody that delivers freight on time and that keeps their word. He doesn't want you getting him in trouble with brokers. He's wanting for somebody that's professional, that's going to show up at the shippers and receivers and present themselves in a positive way. And so the very first video where I announced where I was working, I said, hey, if you're a dirtbag, don't call him. If you consider yourself a responsible professional, then give him a call, hear what he has to say. And you never know. He and I have turned out to be pretty decent friends. And so I'm glad I made the choice. And I definitely think it's worth the email. P.U. Patel, are you still looking to have Scott on a live? So here's the truth about that. I spoke with Scott. Scott said he'd be glad to come on. And he didn't throw me any curveballs. He didn't say, well, I'll come on as long as we don't talk about this, or I'll come on as long as you don't ask me about that. What he did say is he drives a lot of evenings, and that I needed to give him some advance notice so that he could be parked on the evening that we're doing it. Now, tonight's a perfect example of why I haven't interviewed anybody lately. Finding a place where I can park and be set up by 5 o'clock and have good signal and everything takes a lot of planning and a little bit of luck. And so I want to make sure when I start interviewing people again, especially Scott, that that I can do so and that they'll be able to be there and all of that. So absolutely, we're going to have Scott on, and it's going to be pretty soon, I think. But I just want to make sure that it works with his schedule and that I'm in a place. Ideally, the best thing would be if I could be at home because I can control the internet. I can control everything a lot better. So it may be while I'm on some home time. I'm not totally opposed to doing it on the road, but yeah, it's going to be pretty soon. Who knows? I may interview him one night after I finish at Matt's if I get to go to Matt's. And so, but yeah, it's the short answer to your question is it is going to happen. It'll probably be a video that we release to members only first, and then a few days later we release it to everybody. Channel member Ramon, Seaboard Marine Container Company. If you have an old truck, they put you an ELD. Yeah, a lot of companies will take you, but when you start getting a truck that's older than a 99, a lot of them are reluctant. Now, where I live, there's some agriculture type stuff where you can use a paper log, but most of them are going to want you to have a 99 or newer truck. And to be honest, you're going to want to have a 99 or newer truck. The older the truck is, the harder it is to find parts and things like that when you have mechanical issues. It's hard enough right now anyway. Robbie Ross, channel member, says helping to get those numbers back up. He's referring to the gifted 5 Trucker Todd memberships. I appreciate that, sir. I really do. Ramon says they're saying if your truck is 2000 and older, you don't need ELD. Well, 94. Well, it's true. If your truck is older than 99, you don't have to have an ELD, but you've still got to run paper logs. The problem is when you pull in a scale, DOT looks at you and they go, all right, here's an older truck where we know he's running paper logs. It's a lot easier to find mistakes made. Whereas on an electronic log, it shows you if you made a mistake. And so it also, I believe now, sends them a notification. So they're more picky and looking at things a lot closer on paper logs. Now you're right, 94 to 2000, a lot of trucks did have a computer, but most of them are not compatible with the new ELD systems. H-Man, who's now a channel member, says, thanks, Robbie. Russell Freight Services says, hey, Todd. Hey, Russell, glad you made it in tonight. I was worried we wouldn't have nobody here because I started late. And Jordan B, channel member, says, hello, everyone. Robbie Ross says, "You're welcome, H-Man." Robbie Ross, the original channel member that gifted those memberships. Also, the guy that gave me my second Dallas Cowboy jersey in my life. My first one was a Randy White jersey back when Randy White played, and I was a youngster, probably 11, 12 years old. And this was my second uh, Dallas Cowboy jersey ever. It was Dak Prescott, which was what I asked for. He even asked me if I wanted a blue one or a white one, and I selected blue. And I'm really, really happy with it, really grateful for it. But yeah, Robbie Ross has been a longtime friend. We've known each other since my Roadrunner days, and he's been a big supporter of the channel. P.U. Patel says, "Glad to be part of the Gorilla Gang." Yes, sir. Are you you're a channel member. Yes, sir. You are now an official member of the Gorilla Gang. We need to get some little cards printed that say, like member of the Gorilla Gang or something. That'd be pretty cool. Truck driver, what's up, bro? Good to see you. What's the best fuel card for IC? Without a doubt, and let me see if I can post it real quick. It's going to be the ES Advantage fuel card. I used mine yesterday. You guys know that my finances have been kind of tight, so hadn't been using it as much as I wanted to, but I'm trying to work it back in and use it more often. I got to figure out how to send it to myself. Give me just a second. We'll get it on there. Ah, there it is. This dang phone. All right, here we go. Back on the live. I'm putting it in the comments. You just click on that link, and they'll ask you like 4 or 5 questions, and then in a couple of days, somebody will call you with a custom setup for you. You can get your card for as little as $100, and I've been telling people I save $1,300 to $1,400 a month. Guys are telling me $1,500 to $1,700 a month. So there's a good possibility you'll outperform me. It just depends what part of the country you run and things like that. It has some other perks. Gives you unlimited drink refills at one of the major chains. They don't want me to tell you which chain it is. They want to tell you when they talk to you. Also, at that same chain, you get 3 points per gallon. Basically, it makes you a platinum member, and 2 showers per day. So there's a lot of side benefits. You can also use it as a maintenance card, and it has a tire discount program and all kinds of stuff. I'm kind of guilty of being Scott here, so I'm telling you the card's great, but when they talk to you, they're going to make it even better than what I told you. So if you're listening to me and you think, oh, that's a good fuel card, wait till they talk to you on the phone. It will blow your mind, the benefits and the savings that are available to you. And Russell Freight says weak. Let's see. I don't see another comment, so not sure what Russell Freight's talking about, but maybe he'll provide us another comment here in just a minute. But yeah, everybody click on that link and check out that ES Advantage fuel card. Even if you don't have the $100 right now, still go to that link and put in your information. They're going to call you and they'll work with you on when you can do the money and explain to you how the program works and all of that. Josh McLean says, "What's up? Watching from home. Not much, my friend. Just another day in paradise, living the dream." Channel member Robbie Ross. That pallet is at a truck stop where I'm paying for parking. Dart is going to handle it. Originally, I was taking it to Dallas. That changed. I'm going to leave it at a customer's yard in Phoenix on Saturday. Well, there you go. At least it didn't inconvenience you too bad. I knew you was worried about it affecting your home time or something like that. Also, channel member Robbie Ross, you're welcome, Jordan B. Mark Ely, my good friend, is here. What's up, everybody? I need to talk to Mr. Mark sometime soon. Mark, I don't know if I got your phone number or if you've got mine or not. If you've got my number, call me. And if you don't, then email me at todd@truckertodd.net. I'd like to talk to you. Robbie Ross, channel member. One of these years, I will get you to join me at Jerry's World for a game. Oh, I would love that. That was channel member Robbie Ross. What he's talking about is on Thanksgiving. He invited me to go to a Dallas Cowboys game with him in Dallas, and fearing execution from my family, I had to decline. But had it not been for that, I would have been there. Um, Definitely, at some point in time, I would love to go to a Cowboys game, especially with Robbie Ross. We'd have a good time. Um, Jerry might not let me in though. I've been pretty critical of him as an owner, but yeah, I'd love to go. I want to make sure my link works because it just shows dots on the end on my StreamYard. Ah, yeah, it does. Does look like it's still working. It used to say Trucker Todd on it. It doesn't say Trucker Todd on it no more. Huh. That's cool that it still works though. All righty. Let's see. Yeah, I'm west of Denver on I-70 at a scenic outlook thing. I can't tell you my exact location because my GPS fell off the windshield while I was doing this video. That's something else. Is when they're building this truck stuff, why don't they make it more durable? Why don't they make the suction cups big enough that they'll actually stick to the windshield, or the phone mounts where they'll actually last more than about 3 or 4 months? I know why. It's job security. You got to buy another one, but man, them things are like $60. They should last a little longer. Ramon, channel member, Mudflap is charging 1.9 on the credit card that you're using. Um, I have a debit card in my Mudflap, and I don't use it very often, but I do check prices on there. I don't have the Mudflap card itself though. I believe they're offering a card now. If I'm in a remote place and need 50 gallons or something to get me back in my network, then I'll use them. Hang on just a second. I need to help this guy. I'll be right back. This guy was like, you parallel park in here, and he was getting awful close to my hood, so I wanted to make sure he wasn't going to hit me. As you guys know, I'm really paranoid about that because right now, with the way supply chain is, somebody can back into you and it can have you down for several weeks while you're waiting on parts. So, anytime somebody looks like they're getting a little close, I go out and say, "Hey, do you mind if I wave you back?" Or sometimes I just wave them back and go, "Whoa, whoa, whoa." But needless to say, it was from a mega carrier that I don't have a lot of confidence in their driving abilities. Mark Ely, okay, I'll reach out to you, and your link worked. I followed it. Good deal. Thanks, Mark. P.U. Patel, channel member, Trucker Todd to the rescue. I don't know about all that. It's just treating others the way you want to be treated and trying to help others. I did a video a few months ago, shoot, it may be a year ago now, where some people were stuck in the back of their box truck. Remember, their door was like 6 inches up and they couldn't get out. And the police were there and the police couldn't get it open. They were going to call the fire department. And I walked over there and I said, "Can I help?" And I figured the officer had told me, "No, go mind your own business." He said, "Sure, what do you got in mind?" And I said, "Give me just a second before you call the fire department." And I went over to my truck, and the video's still out there. Y'all can go check it out if you hadn't seen it. And I grabbed one of my load locks and I pried the door open so the guys could get out. And the reason I do that and the reason I make videos about it, it isn't to pat myself on the back. It's so that it'll inspire y'all to do similar things. Recently, and I say that's probably 6 months ago, another guy told me, he said, "Yeah, I was at a rest area and I seen a car that was broke down. And I walked over and offered him a couple of water bottles because of your videos." And that's why I do it. It's so that you guys will go, "Man, if Todd can do it, I can do it." And it may be carrying some jumper cables with you. And if you see a truck with a dead battery, offering to boost him off. It may be that you carry a case of water in here, and if you see somebody stranded, you give them a couple gallons of water. Um, you never know how you might be able to help somebody. And that's the only way we're going to make it better out here. If we keep attacking each other and tearing each other down, it's never going to get any better out here. And so, I never, when I'm helping somebody, I never go, "Hey, I'm Trucker Todd. Check out my videos on YouTube." I don't usually tell them who I am unless they say, "Hey, you look familiar." I just help them and then uh, go on about my day. And that's what I'm hoping to see more of out here. It does my heart good when I hear that you guys are out doing something similar like that. Channel member Ramon, Todd, you have a good night, and to all the Gorilla Gang, have a good night. Be safe. Thank you, my friend. Have a good night. Chris Bollinger is here. Hadn't seen him in a while. Good evening, friend. Chris is a good friend of mine. Uh, it's kind of comical about me and Chris. We sometimes spend weeks trying to get a hold of each other on the phone. He'll call me and leave a voicemail, and it'll say something like, "Hey, Todd, this is Chris. Call me sometime." And I'll say, "Okay." And so it'll be a couple hours later. I'll try to call him. He'll be busy. I'll leave him a message. "Hey, Chris, this is Todd. I was just returning your call. Call me when you get a chance." And then, by golly, every single time he'll call and I'm in the shower and I'll miss his call, or I'm bumping a dock and I can't answer it. And but he's a good friend. I'm sure he thinks I'm dodging him, but we have the hardest time getting on the same schedule with each other. But he's a good friend. I'm glad he made it in here tonight. Gary Cook, channel member. Todd jumped into a phone booth and turned into Super Trucker Todd. Well, first of all, you'd be hard pressed to find a phone booth these days. Think about it for a second. When was the last time any of us saw a phone booth or a payphone? They're pretty rare. But no, it's you're not saving anybody. I was saving myself there, getting out and saying, whoa, 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 is so he doesn't hit my truck. It's not, it's not because I'm saving anybody for sure. Hey, look who's here. One of my favorite cousins. Got to have dinner with him recently. One of the funniest people you'll ever meet. Scholar is here tonight. Hello from Lubbock. Hello, sir. I'm glad you made it in. Uh, Paula was over in your neck of the woods today, and I said, "Hey, you should have ran across the street and seen Scholar." And she said, "Well, I don't think he's working." And then when she looked, she said, "Yeah, he's there, but I'm almost home now." So uh, we almost had a Scholar sighting today. Chris Bollinger, we're just busy, brother. Yes, sir, we are. Most people really don't believe what I do or how busy I am till they hang out with me. And then they're like, oh, crap, I don't see how you do it. And truth is, I don't see how I do it. I don't think I do it very well, but I get her done. This has a lot to do with it. This is Coke Zero, and I'm trying to cut back on these as well. Okay, we're at the 52-minute mark. This is the part of the show where I usually remind everybody, because you guys forget, give me a thumbs up. Share this video on your social media platforms. Make sure you're subscribed. While you're doing all those fun things, look at that join button. Consider becoming part of the Gorilla Gang by becoming a channel member. There's 2 tiers there. Check out those tiers. Also, many people don't know this, and that's why I keep repeating it. If you click on the title of the video, it drops down a whole bunch of other information about the channel, how to reach me, the website. Also, a good resource for information is this little ticker going across the bottom of the screen. Check all those things out in your free time. You'll be glad you did, or I'll be glad you did. One of us will be glad. Either way, check them out. And let's see here. Hopefully that gave y'all some time to start typing some comments. Scholar Fuller, y'all can always text or call me when you're around, see what's up. Yeah, I think everybody in here would tell you, uh, I get, I start the day with good intentions of, I'm going to call this person, I'm going to call that person. And the day gets crazy and I forget to call people. And then I think, well, I'll do it tomorrow. And then, well, I'll do it the next day. And I never get it done. So it's just best that everybody reach out to me and I'll try to get better about it. Just like today, I got parked. I was setting up for the show. Typically, I'm talking on the phone while I'm setting up the show. And then the APU starts smoking. So I get out and I'm looking at it, making sure that I don't have a major oil leak or it's not knocking or nothing like that. Get it diagnosed. Well, then I got grease all over me. So I'm trying to get cleaned up so I don't get grease all over the inside of the truck or on my laptop or nothing like that. And then it's like 4 minutes before I go on. So I'm making sure my headset's connected and everybody will be able to hear me and things like that. But I do need to get better about reaching out to you. I just don't want to bother you because I know you're moving right now and got a lot going on. Channel member Robbie Ross, how's parking at Matt's? Parking in Nashville sucks. I would like to check it out. Robbie, I would love it if you came, especially if I get to go and we could hang out. My other good friend John Toohey's going to be there. Several other people have said they were going to show up. Be an opportunity for the Gorilla Gang to hang out, get to know each other, things like that. Parking is actually really, really good. I'm trying to think of the name of the stadium. I think it's Cardinal Stadium. TA takes it over, and they've got showers there. I usually get a hotel. This year, I'll probably stay in my truck if I go, and it's a really nice time. You can use your TA shower credits. If you don't have a TA card, they charge $10 for showers. If you do have a TA card, I believe it's $5 for showers. Check the website and verify my information. They may charge everybody 5, but I believe you can use shower credits. But it's a fun shuttle you from that parking lot over to uh, the Matt's event. Get ready to do a lot of walking, to have a lot of fun, to meet a lot of people. But definitely, as it gets closer to time, I'll be able to let y'all know if I'm going or not. I really hope I can go because it's some of the most fun I have all year. Gary Cook, channel member, is it snowing where you're at? No, there is snow on the ground and in the ditches, but the roads are clean and it is 30 something degrees. It says 38 on my dash, but you know how when you're parked and idling, it'll say a few degrees warmer than what it really is. It's really nice here. I love running this part of the country this time of the year when it's not snowing and and everything. But sorry, I was reading another comment while I was talking. But yeah, I love coming up here, especially when it's not snowing and it's just snow in the ditches and on the mountains. And I've got a video that's coming out tomorrow morning, and my breathing's kind of heavy in it. It is higher altitude, thinner oxygen, but it's a pretty good video, something that you wouldn't normally expect on a Trucker Todd channel. So I would encourage all of y'all to check out that video tomorrow morning. Should be dropping about 9 a.m. Central Time. If I can get it uploaded, it's been uploading since 11 a.m. this morning. Scholar says, well, I'm glad when you can make time for me. So no hard feelings, much love. Got to finish a few things with the move. Oh, Scholar, your priority. We'll always make time for you, man. Just I don't want to bother you while you're moving. Gary Cook, channel member. Today's date is February 29th. When was the last time that you did a video on February 29th? That's a great question, Gary. I'm going to have to say it was probably 4 years ago. I don't know if I did a video on this exact day or not, though. Great question. Maybe never. This might be my first ever February 29th video. Channel member Robbie Ross, are cold adult beverages nearby? Yeah, I would encourage you to be careful, though. Make sure you got a hotel or something like that. As you know, there's always adult beverages nearby, but you don't want to be drinking and hop back in your truck and have somebody mess with you or something like that. And definitely don't have anything inside your truck. But if I remember correctly, there was adult beverages either there or in the vicinity last night. Let me say it this way to keep myself out of trouble. Had I wanted an adult beverage last year, I would have been able to get one. That's probably the best way to say that. P.U. Patel, channel member, what are your plans after paying off your truck? That's a good question. My truck right now has almost 780,000 miles on it. And so I'll probably change the oil about 785. It's on a 3-year payout roughly. And so none of that is new news. I've shared that before. So it should be slightly over 1 million miles when it gets paid off. So the ideal situation would be to have enough money saved up that I could trade it in and get something else with lower miles, possibly something under warranty. I'm already looking at options, even though it's a couple of years out. It's still not a bad idea to start looking and have a roadmap to get where you're going, to set goals, things like that. So ideally, you would like to have a truck and be able to drive it a year or two after you pay it off. And obviously, we'll evaluate how this one does the next 2 years and make the decision at that time. But I think the ultimate goal is to to always make a vertical move to be moving to a better, more efficient truck, more reliable truck when that time comes. But the only thing I can tell you is hang on for the ride and we'll find out together. Mark Ely, hey, you on a multi stop run? There was one out of Kansas going to Colorado to New Mexico, 348 a mile, 5 stops. No, I was over in St. George, Utah, is where I delivered my last one. And then I picked up another load in St. George, Utah, that's going over here to Denver. And so it's for a show at the convention center. And I got a 6 a.m. appointment over there. And I called the security guard today. He said there's not really a place to park a truck there overnight. So that's why I've got to figure out where I'm going to stay tonight. I don't want to get so close to Denver that I can't find parking, and I don't want to be so far away that I got to drive a significant amount to get there. So very quickly, I'm going to have to decide if I'm spending the night here or if I'm going to go ahead and get a little closer. Probably the next step will be to look at the facility on Google Earth and see if there's somewhere nearby that I can park. That's fairly close to there. Gary Cook, channel member, is your guy that's doing the lease purchase with you, is he looking to do more lease purchases? That's a great question. The truth is, the answer is maybe. He's continuing to watch me, evaluate me, and see how I do, and then he'll make a decision later this year. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities, but I think he would feel more comfortable doing it if he saw rates and things like that go up a little bit. Keep in mind, I've got other streams of income that help me along the way that a lot of drivers don't have. I've got several years of running load boards that a lot of guys don't have. So a lot of trust has been placed in me. And I think as I continue to do well, that he might be willing to place that trust in other people and give them a shot. But you know, I don't know. Obviously, there will be some things learned from my arrangement with him, and there will be some things changed. Obviously, if he does do a deal like that, it'll be different from my deal probably, or it may be exactly the same. If nothing's broke, don't fix it. So we'll see. But yeah, I think you might see something maybe in the next 6 or 8 months. I haven't really talked to the investor about it much lately, but next time I've got him on the phone, I'll see what he says, and I'll relay it back to you. I got you and one other guy that would like to do it if he decides to go down that rabbit hole. Nomad Nexus Halls. I've been researching all the best trucking companies while researching the last few months. What'd you find? Who are you impressed with? People keep asking me, and right now I'm really out of the loop. I mean, I'm not talking to companies as much as I was when I was at Swift. I still get a lot of calls, but not near as many as I did when I was at Swift. And so I don't have my finger on the pulse like I did. If you know of some good companies, feel free to share them on here. I'm sure if I do get to go to Matt's, that a lot of companies will be talking to me there, wanting to come on the show. And you never know, we may have some recommendations for you in the next couple of months. All right, we've caught up again. Hopefully Nomad will get back to us with the good companies. I'm going to take that down so that y'all can see my website. Go over there, check it out, and do all those other fun things I mentioned a minute ago, like thumbs up and subscribing. I know y'all get tired of hearing me talk about those things, but they're really necessary for the YouTube algorithms and to keep me on the air where y'all can watch me every week. Channel member Gary Cook, my company offered me a 2024 Freightliner Cascadia 800 a week plus 2,500 down. It's through TEL Leasing. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of TEL for a few reasons. Um, one of them is if you want to transfer the truck to another company, their transfer fees are ridiculous. Also, they require you to use ATBS for your accounting. I think if you've got a good accountant that you've worked with, that you trust, you should be able to choose your own accountant. I don't like the finance company having control over my finances that way. But, I'm not going to badmouth them if that's the way you want to go. Please let me know how it works out for you. When I was at Roadrunner, they started getting TEL trucks. And it didn't work out so well for the solo drivers. Roadrunner still does some TEL trucks for teams, but pretty much a team can make it anywhere. So if I was going to get another truck, TEL would probably not be my first choice. Now, if I had terrible credit and they were the only people that would approve me, then maybe I would. They are very structured. They force you to put into a maintenance account and things like that. So if you're new to lease purchase or to being an owner operator, they might be a good option because there's a lot of structure there. They give you, I think they call them a business advisor, kind of a coach that'll kind of help you along the way. So I just, I wouldn't do it just because I don't want somebody that hands-on at this level in my life. But for some people, it works out great, I guess. P.U. Patel, if you get an SFI truck and sign it on with Snyder, they are giving drivers a 6K sign-on bonus right now. Yeah, I've talked about Schneider before. I've got a friend that's starting there next week with an SFI truck, and I'll let you know as he reports to me how he's doing over there and what he thinks about it. Um, the things I've said about Schneider all along, I still feel that way. I still think the payments are high, but you're getting a nice truck in a lot of cases. So maybe it's worth it, maybe it's not. Where I live in Lubbock, Schneider is not an option. They're only hiring teams. They do have a local account pulling CHEP pallets there, but it's very hard to get on that account. They don't have a lot of turnover. So, and I think it's a company driver job when you do that. So, but for doing lease purchase with Snyder, I'm not in their hiring area. So, but I will let you guys know how he does over there and what he thinks about it. I want him to get a few weeks in because everybody loves everything in the beginning. Nomad says $10,000 fee to switch companies plus 1 month payment to switch. Yeah, that I started to say that, and somebody argued with me. Oh, it's not $10,000; it's only 3,500 or whatever. But every time I've talked to TEL, or anytime any of my friends has talked to TEL, it's always been a $10,000 transfer fee, and so that would be a big red flag for me. Now, if you're in an established company, I'll give you an example. Skyline, who comes in here a lot, been at Crete for like 5 years. So he knows Crete's system. He likes Crete's system. If he wanted to get a TEL truck, I wouldn't have a problem with it because he knows he's going to stay at Crete. He knows he likes it at Crete. But if I had another guy, let's say Skyline had only worked at Crete a month and he was going to get one of these TEL trucks, then I might not be as big a fan of it because he doesn't know enough about the company to know if he's going to stay there or if he's going to need the $10,000 to transfer or things like that. So, yeah, that's what I would say about that. It just depends on the individual. Like I'm about to give you an example right here. Mark Ely. Now, before we read Mark's comment, Mark is a very smart guy. He knows his business. Mark could go rent a truck from anywhere and be successful. I mean, pick your least favorite lease purchase. Mark would still probably survive on it. Now, he might not make the money he's used to making. He might not be as successful as he wants to be, but Mark would survive anywhere. Now, having said all of that, Mark said he loves Tell, but that's me. It's not for everyone. My truck is paid off. Yeah, so Mark was able to pay off a truck at Tell, and I got to be careful here. I'm not saying Tell's a scam. Nowhere have you ever heard me say on any of my videos that I think Tell is a scam. I just think that, with drivers changing jobs every 6 to 12 months on average, it could be very expensive working at Tell. You'd want to be, now it might work in my situation where I'm with Scott, I'm happy here, I'm not going anywhere. But if you're, a lot of guys are getting these trucks at Tell and they're going to work at a company they've never worked for before. And then they're going, oh, this company sucks. And then they're having to pay $10,000 to transfer it or to turn it back in. What I'm saying is, if you're going to get a Tell truck, make sure it's with a company that you're going to be able to stay with for the term of the loan. Lone Mountain has a great program. Nomad says, I agree. Lone Mountain has a good program. You better have your finances in order, though. They're going to want a substantial down payment, and then they're going to want you to have, $20,000 or $30,000 in the bank after your down payment. It's not going to be one of these deals where, you scrape up $5,000 and then you go to work broke. They're going to make sure that, if something breaks 2 weeks after you get the truck, that you got the money to fix it. So I think Lone Mountain wipes out a lot of people just because in this economy, very few of us have, $20,000 in savings right now. RCE, hi Todd, just watching the show. Haven't seen you in a while. Tough times out here, Todd. Always enjoy your chit chat. Take care, old friend. Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's what I was saying. This is the first time in my life where I've really noticed it. Like the heat is on, the pressure's on. I'm making it, and I'm actually making pretty good money. But it seems like whatever I make, insurance is due, or car payments due, or house payments due, or it's just one thing after another. And groceries, used to could get $80 or $100 worth of groceries. Now it's $180, $200 for nothing. We went to Walmart the other day and got groceries, and I was blown away at how expensive it was. The cashier tallied it up, and my wife gave me a look like, can we afford this? And well, we're going to give the card a try and see. Nomad says DB Shanker is a great company that is worldwide. I don't work there, but I know a guy who is, and is clearing $2,500 a week. Yeah, a friend of mine that's on here pretty regularly used to work for DB Shanker, and he was a company driver that got to pick his own loads, and he loved it over there. He's not there anymore. I think sometimes he wishes he still was. But yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about DB Shanker. And a guy that used to be the CEO or president or whatever at a company I used to work for is pretty high in the rankings over there. They just don't run where I live a lot. But if I ever wanted to go in that area, I'd give him a call, and I could probably squeeze my way in. Tunisian Trucker, I hope I said that correctly. Yes, I'm with SFI. Yes, truck payment is high, but you don't have to worry about no maintenance or major fix. After 6 months, you can go to any company, no fees. Yeah, I would agree with that. Nothing, I wouldn't say there's anything false or misleading in his statement. What I would say is when I was at another trucking company that, well, I'll just say who it is. It doesn't matter. F2F. One of the dispatchers there was really excited that my truck I had at F2F was totally paid off. And the exact words she said was, when guys come here with an SFI truck, They really struggle. And that could be a lot of things. That doesn't mean that F2F is bad or that SFI is bad. Could be they don't buy fuel good. It could be they don't manage their truck. It could be they don't select good loads off the load board. But ever since she said that, and we were at a dinner when she said it at a really good Mexican food restaurant, which is way off topic anyway. I've always thought about that is that, yeah, you can take the truck somewhere else after 6 months, but sometimes they charge a fee, sometimes they don't, depending on what company you're going to, if it's one they're established with. If you're going to a smaller company like I work for, they do require a pretty significant down payment just because they've never done business with that company before. So, but yeah, there's SFI is one of those deals. It's definitely not all bad. It's just a little pricier than what I'd like it to be. And the problem is, I guess everything's a little pricier than what I'd like it to be. The problem is, can you make money in an SFI truck? Absolutely. Absolutely, without a doubt, you can make money in an SFI truck. The problem comes in when what happens when you break down and the part is on back order for a few weeks, or you have a family emergency and you need to go home. From what I understand, SFI, they still want their money every Friday. Now, sometimes they'll defer a payment if you have a good reason or something like that, but it's not something they're regularly going to do. So if you're going to do an SFI truck, same rules that it applies if you're going to get a Lone Mountain truck. I would recommend that you start with several $1,000s in the bank, maybe 10,000 at least after you pay your down payment. So I think my friend that's going there is putting 2,500 down and they're paying part of it. So he's only putting 500 down. After he pays his 500 down, he needs to have several $1,000s in the bank so that, if he's down or something happens, he can still make those truck payments and still keep alive. Nomad next hauls, several companies lowering pay right now. Yeah, it's a tough pill to swallow. I get it though. Rates are just down, and companies not only have to make enough to pay you, they also have to make enough to pay their overhead. And they've got safety departments, they've got legal departments. Some of them have planners, some of them have dispatchers. They have to have managers, supervisors. A lot of them have shops, so they've got mechanics. And they've got to make enough to cover all that overhead too. And so, when rates go down, pay has to go down. And unfortunately, that's what we're experiencing right now. Hopefully, when pay goes back up, uh, or rates go back up, pay will go back up. But typically, they lag quite a bit. So rates will shoot back up, and it'll be several months before companies go, hey, we're going to give you a raise and get you back where you were, because they want to make sure that freight rates going up isn't just a flash in the pan or a 1 week deal and then they're back down again. So yeah, right now it's tough. I hear one of my good friends was at a company and the company was paying 61 cents a mile and now they're paying 57 cents a mile. And he said people are quitting over it and getting upset over it and refusing to work there over it. And I think until the economy gets better, we're probably going to see a lot more of that. P.U. Patel, channel member, I don't think Mark would survive at Trucks for You. Well, it'd be like I said, Mark would survive there, but he wouldn't be happy there. He'd get an $800 or $1,000 check, which at Trucks for You, that's successful. But he knows, and I know he's too good of a driver for that. There's some companies that we as drivers with our qualifications and everything, we're just too good for it. And Mark is definitely too good for Trucks for You. But yeah, he could go there and make $600 or $800 a week. He'd probably win several awards and be one of their top guys. They'd probably put him on their Facebook page. But the whole time he was there, he'd be saying, I'm worth more than this. I can go make $2,500 at this company. I can make 3 times this. Why am I here? And that's the deal. So if uh, if he wanted to go there because he lived in that town, I can't even remember the town now. Uh, but anyway, if he lived in Oklahoma, close to there, and they had a dedicated run that got him home or something, yeah, he'd be fine. But he'd make a lot less than what he's making now for sure. The deck is definitely stacked against you there. If you need a good laugh, though, everybody go to Trucks for You's website and look what they're paying drivers right now. Nomad says on the company side, GP Transco and US Express lowered pay in the last few months. Yeah, GP Transco was who I was talking about, that they lowered their pay like 4 cents a mile for company drivers. Tunisian Trucker, yes, I'm with DB Shanker. USA Truck, you can make good money. Plus, I'm leasing my truck with SFI. It's not bad at all. Yeah, I know a lot of guys that are happy over there. And like I said, they're not a company I've ever been able to consider because of where I lived. Gary Cook, channel member, DB Shanker is USA Truck. They're merged now, but they, from what I understand, they're still running separately, but they're the same company. I don't know if they've fully integrated yet. From what I read, they were trying to integrate, and it was going to take some time. Mark says he works at DB USA Truckload last year, 347 gross to truck. That's definitely nothing to sneeze at. Um, the one thing I would say though is don't get hung up on gross, because all of these companies have all these hidden fees and stuff. Net is where it's at. And so if you look at your net and you're at 120 or so a year, then you're at a good place. But if you look at your net and you're at 40 a year, then it's probably not a good deal. And I know Mark, he's way over 40 a year. He's probably in the 120 to 150 take home range. Nomad, yes, that's right, Gary. USA, but DB is a much larger company. Worldwide shipper, third largest in the world. Gary Cook, channel member. I've been doing power only with USA. I'm doing pretty good. I use their load board. There's always loads available. I'm doing great with it. I may need to check and see if I can run USA's loads on the spot market. Is it a private load board, or can outsiders get on it? Or do they have one for outsiders? Nomad says, speaking of creek carriers, they have a policy that you will need to do a sleep test if you weigh a certain amount. Not cool. I got mixed feelings on that. You guys know I use a CPAP machine, and to this day, I still believe the testing process was a scam. However, I do sleep really good with it. And so these companies that want to sleep test, it doesn't bother me. I just go get a download and take it to them. I got a company in Lubbock that'll download my CPAP machine for free. There's another place, if their machine's not working or something, that charges me $25. And I usually take a copy when I go get my physical anyway, because they just breeze you through then. They know you're on top of your stuff. But yeah, when I went and got my sleep study, she told me before I even took the test, oh, I know you got sleep apnea. And she wasn't even a respiratory therapist or nothing. She was just like a nurse's aide or something. I'm like, all right, whatever. And they gave me the test. Well, they were out in the hall talking and making noise all night. So I didn't sleep good. And the next morning, after wearing that machine all night, they're like, how'd you sleep last night? I said, horrible. It was loud in the hall. They said, oh, well, you're just not used to it. When you get used to it, you'll love it. And then I thought, well, what would have happened if I'd have said, yeah, I slept great? Then they'd say, see, it's working. So it's a scam. Either way, they're going to say you needed a CPAP machine. Now, in my case, I really did need one. I do sleep better with it. but there is some added expense. There is some added inconvenience. Mine, I use the humidifier on it, and so it moistens the air, keeps me from getting a dry nose, dry throat. And so for that reason, I can never train or be a team driver, which I'm fine with that. I don't have interest in doing either one because I don't want it to bounce and slosh water around in my machine. I don't want my machine to fall off on the floor and break, things like that. But um, yeah, I've got real mixed feelings about it. It almost bankrupted me at the time. It was in like 2008 when we were going through another market crunch, and it was a real struggle to pay for. My insurance at the time only paid $100 for my CPAP machine. I spent like 900 or 15. I get the numbers confused. I think I spent 1500 on the sleep study and 900 on the CPAP machine. And it was a real shady deal. The place in Dallas where I had my sleep study done, the lady that told me, "Oh, I know you got sleep apnea," sold me a machine. I'm not kidding. Out of a storage unit that was a used machine, and it was a real shady deal. But anyway, all these years later, I still, what is it? Uh, However many years later, I still remember it. I'm still a little bitter about it, but I do appreciate the much better sleep I get now. Nomad says, "Don't you think the CEOs and upper management should take those pay cuts rather than the lifeblood of the company? Driver deserve better leadership." I think, yeah, it should be across the board. There are some companies that the CEOs are taking a pay cut. The CEO that recently left Swift, or that is in the process of leaving Swift now, he took like a 25% pay cut along with some of the other leadership. So I think some guys are doing that, but it's not the leadership that's causing the rates to be this way. Um, there's, I mean, there's political reasons, there's market reasons, there's broker reasons, and quite frankly, there's driver reasons. There's enough blame to go around for why the rates are like they are. Kid behind the wheel. Hey, Todd, coming from Jackson, Georgia. Man, I would love to be in that area right now. Mark Ely, 147K net. See, I told y'all he'd be between 120 and 150. I know Mark. I know the caliber of guy he is. I know his work ethic. He and I have had some straight debates. And if he says it's 147, I don't doubt him for a second. So he's on the top end of what I thought he'd be. So that's not bad at all. Gary Cook, channel member, answering my question about if USA Truck has a load board that's open to the outside. He says you'll have to check with USA Truck. I use their trailer. I can also do power only stuff, but it's kind of dangerous for me living where I live. I could end up having a lot of deadhead to get home and things like that. But I'm, I do some stuff for Night Swift sometimes. Did some loads for them a few weeks ago. All of these larger companies that have a logistics in and broker out some of their stuff, I would love to work with them if the opportunity presented itself. Robbie Ross, channel member, he's got a date tonight with a lady friend. Gonna have yummy barbecue. Hey, Robbie's a channel member and just did a $5 super chat or super sticker. I'm not sure which it is. And he's also the one that gifted those memberships earlier. Find out if she's a keeper. Have her watch Trucker Todd and ask her opinion of the show. Oh, Tenise and Trucker, yes, USA, they post their loads, but it's much cheaper than the private load board. Okay. Nomad says CPAP is a scam. Almost everyone has some amount of sleep apnea. I agree with that. When I was home last, I even caught my wife snoring a little bit. And I think everybody snores from time to time. I think if you're a little under the weather, you could have some issues. I was having some of the issues though. I mean, I'd wake up with the bad headaches, with the mouth bleeds, things like that. But some of that's just because I sleep with my mouth open, always have, and was usually a pretty good snorer. I wear a chin strap with my CPAP. It holds my jaw shut, and I really do sleep better with it. The problem I've got is I don't know that I want my trucking company or a trucking company involved in my medical. I think this should be a violation of HIPAA law. And again, I'm no attorney or nothing like that, but we've got JB Hunt giving sleep studies. We've got all these companies selling CPAP machines on payment plans and things like that. And I don't like seeing trucking companies do that. I'd like to see trucking companies stick to trucking, my personal doctor stick to my medical needs, and the physician that does my DOT physical saying, okay, your blood pressure's okay, your sight's okay, you're safe to drive another year or 2 years, whatever your medical card allows. Nomad says, plus, if they make you use their doctor and their test facility, that has to be against some kind of law. Yeah, I'm real fortunate in that area. I've got a guy that's been doing my physicals for 7 or 8 years, and they're really good. And it's worked with all the companies I've worked with, and so I'm happy about that. Usually, I go in. I'm going to have to get a physical in the next couple of weeks. Usually, I go in, get it done, get it put on my license, and go right back to work. But these big mega carriers that are doing all this in house, uh, I just I don't like it. I got a bad feeling about it. Gary Cook, channel member of my last DOT physical, the doctor asked me if I snore. I told him that I did not wake up to check. Well, here's another funny thing. At the time when I got diagnosed needing the CPAP machine, my wife was riding on the truck with me full time. And she was used to going to sleep with me snoring. Matter of fact, she found it hard to sleep if I wasn't snoring. And so when they put this CPAP machine on me and I quit snoring, she started having trouble sleeping. And so I thought that was pretty funny as well. Mark Ely says, listening and driving, be safe, everyone. I love my CPAP. I think it saved my life. I think it improved my life. Like I said, I'm on my second CPAP machine since 2008, or maybe my third. I'm on my third one since 2008. So I'm getting some longevity out of them. And I do sleep good with it. I can go to sleep like in seconds. And I wake up rested. I can sleep as long as you want me to when I put it on too. 10 or 12, 14 hours or 6 or 7. A lot of nights now I'm sleeping 7 or 8 hours. But every year when I do the printout and take it in, they're real happy with my consistent sleep and the amount of sleep I'm getting. All right, we're caught up on the comments again. We're over the hour and a half mark. Several of you are sitting in the background listening because you're driving. So if we've still got some chatters here, some people wanting to talk, we'll keep it going. If we don't, I'll check out of here and decide if I'm going to drive some more or go to bed. Google Earth is probably going to make that decision tonight, but I'll give it about another 30 seconds for y'all to type. I don't want to cut out. I hate when I end a video and at the last second, 2 or 3 comments come in and it won't let me respond to them because I've already checked out. So if anybody else has got something to say, throw it up there. Nomad wants to know about Schiller. Does anybody know anything about Schiller? I don't. I see their trucks on the road, but I know absolutely nothing about them. If anybody knows anything about Schiller, please throw it up there so we can get her discussed. Again, we'll give it a few more seconds. Mark Ely coming in saying, hit the thumbs up, everyone. Yeah, this is important to say. I know we beat this drum a lot in here, but even those of you watching this on the replay gang, as they like to call themselves, go ahead and leave a comment. Comments really help the show. You love the video. You hate the video. I'm a genius. I'm an idiot. It's okay. All the comments are appreciated. But give me a thumbs up, share it, do all those things. It still helps the channel. It's still an interaction. And I appreciate everybody being here, even those of you that don't like me, even those of you that are hoping I'll fail. I'm still glad you're here. John Krishner is now Hirschbach. Hirschbach lease really isn't good. Yeah, I've never looked into it per se. I know Wildbeard is over there. He's another YouTuber, and he's pretty successful there. But he's doing the same thing I am. He's got YouTube and some other streams of income, and but I don't know. Hirschbach used to be terrible. I don't know about now how they are, but maybe somebody can comment on them as well. P.U. Patel, channel member, put more recorded videos, Todd. I enjoy them a lot. Got one coming out in the morning, 9 a.m. Central Time, if it'll finish uploading. If not, as soon as it finishes uploading, there will be a new recorded video sometime tomorrow. Make sure you're subscribed so you hear about it or get a notification when it comes out. Tunisian trucker, come to USA if you can. I can tell you nothing against USA, but I've got the perfect deal right now. I'm doing exactly what I want to do. So there's no chance of me going to another company right now. I'm very happy working for SRO Logistics. Now, a year from now, Scott says, Todd, I don't want to do this no more, or something like that. I get a speeding ticket and Scott says, hey, your record's not safe enough for you to work here. We're going to have to part ways. Then I would have a conversation with several companies, including USA, to see if maybe their freight in my area has improved, things like that. But as things stand right now, I'm going to do what I'm doing right now and continue doing it as long as I can. What about Nussbaum? I don't know anything about them either. Again, just like the other company, I see a lot of their trucks on the road, but I've never talked to any of their drivers or never had direct contact with the company. Nomad says F2F also has a really great deal. Also, Roadrunner. Yeah, I would agree with that. Both of those. Well, let me take them individually because I've worked at both of those places. F2F is a really great company. I think my deal here is slightly better, and I do mean slightly, because F2F charges you for some little things like transaction fees when you use their fuel card and things like that that SRO Logistics does not charge for. So I make slightly more money here than I did at F2F. Also, F2F, depending on what trailer you get, they base your trailer payment on the year model. My trailer payment here is slightly less than what it is at F2F, but the trailers were nice. The office staff was nice. F2F was not a bad deal. You run the spot market, you pick your own loads, things like that. F2F is definitely a pretty good deal. Roadrunner was a great deal when I worked there. The problem is they have done a lot of restructuring of how they do things. They closed a few of their terminals and streamlined a lot of things. They're really, really team focused right now, and they do still have some solo runs. They don't do solo lease purchase anymore. I've still got some friends that work over there that I talk to. I've still got a recruiter over there that I talk to that I'm really good friends with. And so Roadrunner is a good deal, but like I said, nowadays they're mainly gearing for teams because they're an LTL company and they need to get stuff from terminal to terminal as fast as possible. Nomad says, I'm looking at flatbed companies right now. I guess I like pain. Does anyone know why almost all flatbedders run a midroof? Um, I've got, I don't know for a fact because I've never, I mean, I ran a hot shot rig once till the company went out of business that was a flatbed, but I've never done it in a Class 8 truck. I would assume it's for clearance as well as um, weight reduction so they can haul more weight. But I don't know that for a fact. That would just be me spitballing it, throwing a couple of guesses out there. Maybe some of the construction sites they go to, there's clearance concerns and also weight reduction so they can haul more. Because that skateboard on the back, I mean, these guys can haul 50 plus thousand pounds because the skateboard doesn't weigh nothing. The trucks are lighter, things like that. But I'm sure some of the flatbedders will come in and give a better explanation of that. And if they don't get in while we're still live, maybe they'll leave it afterwards. So that's another thing. After y'all watch these videos live, it's not always a bad idea to go back and look at the comments on the replay a couple of days later and see what people said afterwards. A lot of our guys are sleeping or driving right now and they can't comment, but they'll watch during the replay and comment at that time. As a matter of fact, about 2/3 of my viewership is the replay gang. Swift has a deal on their 2019 Cascadias, $400 a week payment for the duration of the lease. Is that their MRP program? I would think that would be the MRP program. The MRP program was one of those programs when they first came out with it. It sounded like a great deal, and I recommended it in the beginning. As it progressed and as I saw people in it, a lot of people were having truck problems, and they do put that warranty on it. A lot of things that they thought were going to be covered wasn't covered. And so I got kind of lukewarm feelings about the MRP program now. If I was going to go to Swift now and lease a truck, I would probably do a straight lease truck. And I would make sure that it was compatible with the MRP program. So if I got to the end of the lease and I didn't have the MRP, or I mean the balloon payment, I could roll it over in an MRP. But some people think when they hear a warranty, they think it's bumper to bumper, and it's not. It spells it out in your contract, and it's very, very specific about what it covers and what it doesn't cover. And, if, for example, let me give you an example. It might say it covers turbos. Well, if something else causes your turbo to fail, then they might say, well, it's not covered because the turbo didn't actually fail. This part over here failed and it caused the turbo to fail. And that's just a way that warranties get out of paying for a lot of stuff. And it's not Swift. I'm not saying anything bad about Swift. You guys know I had a great experience there. I'm just saying, get a dummy contract from your recruiter if you're going to Swift, an MRP dummy contract, and read it very, very carefully and know what you're getting yourself into. And that, for that reason, that's why I recommend the straight lease. If you're going to Swift, get the truck. You're going to drive it 2 or 3 years. If you don't have your balloon payment, then you've at least had a 2 or 3 year test drive on the truck before it enters the MRP program, and you know what you're getting yourself into. PU Patel, channel member, says, yeah, it's the MRP program. They did a live earlier today. Yeah, you can go back and look. I did some videos on the MRP program. I actually showed the trucks back then and everything. And so I believe some of them were 2018s, 2019s. Basically, it's just company trucks that have ended their term with Swift and they roll them over into the MRP program. It does have a warranty on them. And like I said, it's like any other warranty. In the right circumstance, it can be great, but in the wrong circumstance, you're going, oh crap, I thought I had a warranty. Also, the way they do the maintenance on that is kind of confusing. There's actually two different maintenance accounts and things like that. One of them is for certain things like tires. One of them's for big mechanical breakdowns. Uh, One of them, you have access to the money at the end of your lease. One of them, you never get the money back. It's just gone whether you use it or not. So there's a lot of things about that MRP lease that just be careful. Not with Swift, not with lease purchase, but with any lease purchase. Just know what you're getting yourself into. And you guys know that from the investor, I'm doing a lease purchase right now after I lost my other truck. Didn't really have much of a choice. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. I can tell you two or three things right off the top of my head that I don't like about my lease purchase. But I signed the contract. I knew what I got myself into, and I'm going to make it work. Anyway, though, enough rambling on that. I'm caught up on the comments. Man, we've gone almost 2 hours. If y'all got anything else you want to talk about, now's your chance. Throw it up there. If not, I'm going to zip out of here. Give about another 20 seconds for those of you typing. Don't forget, if you have a comment after the show's over or you're in the replay game, you can still leave a comment and I'll respond to it as quickly as I can. Nomad says the thing about Night Swift, they have a humongous network of terminals and huge buying power. If you are a new owner operator, Swift has you covered if you break down everything, including a loaner. Yes and no. They do have a humongous network of terminals, and that's nice. For example, tonight, if I was still working at Swift, I would go to the Denver terminal, and it would be crowded, but I'd be able to find parking in there. They do have huge buying power. Another example, when my Kenworth broke down at the Peterbilt dealership, had it been a Swift lease purchase truck, Swift would have leaned on them, and instead of being there about 8 weeks, I would have probably been there a couple of days. Swift would have overnighted parts in, whatever they needed to do to get me on the road. Third, they do have loaner trucks, but they do charge for those loaner trucks. It's not like it's free. So you're still making your truck payment. You're still making your maintenance contributions. And then I think the loaners are like 6 or 8 cents a mile. And they're subject to availability. And I know guys that waited weeks for one because they just didn't have any. There was a waiting list for them. And also, they're at varying levels of cleanliness. I knew a guy that got one, it needed tires, and they didn't want to put tires on it. And so, is it better than nothing? Absolutely. Is it perfect? No. But I said all that to say this. They were a good company when I was there. They're making some changes now. I can't speak to how they are now. I know I've still got some friends that work there. Some days they're happy there, some days they're not. But yeah, my experience there was good. I don't get on here and bash them. I just think you need to go into it eyes wide open. It's not going to be all rainbows and unicorns every day. And if you think every time you've got a problem, Daddy Swift is going to save you, you might be surprised. I knew a lot of guys that had to call IEL, which is their leasing company, and beg for repair loans. And sometimes they were told yes, and sometimes they were told no. All of these lease purchases, if you can go into them with some money saved up, you're going to be a lot better off than if you're just going into it and you got $20 on the day you start in your truck. Nomad says I'd go there, but they won't hire me. I had a misdemeanor 26 years ago. You might call back and talk to Michelle and tell her about it. Now, obviously, if it's aggravated, If it's some type of assault or something like that, I guess it'd be a felony then. I would think it'd have to be a pretty severe misdemeanor for them to say, yeah, we're not going to hire you. I've got a misdemeanor on my record, and they hired me. But don't get your hopes up, trolls. It's not nothing big to get excited about. P.U. Patel, channel member, I got tired of waiting on that load board at Swift, so I jumped ship. Yeah, I do believe it's coming, and I thought they would already have it by now because of these new laws that are supposed to take effect March 11th. They're not going to, but they're supposed to. I think they are going to offer it at some point. But keep in mind, this is the thing, you know, there's always two sides to every coin, and everybody always sees the shiny side. They don't see the dull side. So there is going to be a load board where you can pick your loads, but it's 005 freight over there, which is solo over the road freight. And it's not going to be any broker freight originally. Eventually, they want to add that. It's not going to be any of their other freight. So it's fairly limited freight to begin with. They're still going to have drivers that are dispatched. As a matter of fact, they're going to try to get you to stay dispatched so that you can get paid for your deadhead miles. And there's just a lot to it. It's I hate to say this because here's where I'm going to get myself in trouble. These type of private load boards like this, you only see what they want you to see. And what do I mean by that? Well, P.U. Patel could be on their load board and Trucker Todd could be on their load board. If they think Trucker Todd goes home too much, they can set that load board to where it doesn't show any loads going to Lubbock or to the Lubbock area. And P.U. Patel's load board might show 10 loads going to Lubbock. They have that ability. They can customize it. And quite honestly, I believe that's what they're doing right now is tweaking all the back end stuff. But there was more days than not when I was a beta tester for their load board that we would get on there and there would be no loads on there. None at all. And then there'd be days we'd get on there and there'd be 4 or 5 loads on there. Now, what advantage did it provide? The one advantage that the Swift load board did have was oftentimes they didn't want us to book loads more than 3 days in advance. So 3 days from your delivery. So if you were a dispatch driver, oftentimes the planners wouldn't start looking for a load for you until either right before you were empty or right after you turned in your empty call. Whereas in my case, I could start looking for loads 3 days in advance. So it does give you a little bit of a head start on their load board. And that makes it where you can buy fuel better, especially getting paid weekly. If I know this load's delivering to a high fuel area, I can buy enough fuel in a cheap area to get past that low fuel area and to another area where the fuel is cheaper, or high fuel to low fuel, I mean. So there was some advantages, but it's not going to be the game changer that they advertise it to be when they brag about it. Nomad, I just love trucking and trucks. If you don't like trucks or seeing the country, no company will ever be good. That's very true. It life's too short to do something you don't like. And I've shared this in videos. The first 20 years I drove, I viewed trucking as something I had to do. I didn't want to do it. And I just felt like I didn't have any options. And then when I started doing this YouTube thing and helping people and my attitude changed, I really started enjoying it. And now all the time people will email me and they're like, Todd, why do you drive over the road? Why don't you get a local job? Why don't you go in the office? I'm sure somebody would hire you as a recruiter or as a dispatcher. And I've been offered jobs like that recently. One company offered for me to be the president of their truck driving school. And so I've had those opportunities. And I say, well, because I like what I'm doing. Tonight, people have said, hey, Todd, why don't you come over to this company, work with me? And you heard what I said. Because right now I love what I'm doing. I like working at SRO Logistics. I mean, People ask me too, they'll meet me at a truck stop. Do you really like it at SRO? Yeah, I really do. I wouldn't get on here and recommend it if I didn't. There's a reason I'm telling you guys to get a truck and come here. It's and so that's what I'd say about those things. But the first thing is you need to enjoy what you're doing. Nomad says, I love the quiet time and the rumble of the truck when I'm home, which is every 3 to 4 months. We listen to trucking sounds to fall asleep. Sometimes the vibration of the truck engine will help you sleep. I got to where I sleep so good, I don't even hear the APU when I sleep. Now, last night, and you'll hear it in tomorrow's video when it comes out, there was a truck beside me that was pretty loud, and you can kind of hear it grumbling through my video. It's really irritating in the intro, and then it kind of dies down when I do the voiceover, and then in the conclusion, it's kind of loud again. But like they always say, you can't pick your neighbors. P.U. Patel, channel member. No doubt, Trucker Todd, you would make a great recruiter for a big trucking company. Well, maybe. I would say yes because I was in sales and was pretty successful car salesman. I've had several opportunities to go back into that. Again, I don't think the market's ideal for that either. Recruiting is basically sales. I believe there's an honest way to do it and a dishonest way to do it. But there's more to recruiting than just, and I'll tell you all this story, I've told it before. There's more to recruiting than just talking P.U. Patel into coming to my trucking company. And the reason is I've got to run background checks. I've got to do employment verifications, all this stuff. I got to book his hotel. I got to make sure he gets a ride to orientation. I got to make sure he shows up at orientation. I mean, there's a lot of the back end stuff. And one of the previous CEOs at Dart, he's not there no more. He and I were talking on the phone one day, and he was talking about what a terrible turnover rate the recruiters have. I said, man, every time I talk to the recruiting department, there's new faces in there. I said, why is there so much turnover in recruiting? I said, don't y'all pay them good? And he said, no, we pay them real good. He said, a good recruiter can make over 100,000 a year. And I said, well, why do they quit? And he said, Todd, I want you to think about this. He said, imagine having the same phone call every day over 100 times. And I thought that was a provocative statement. I thought about that. And you think about it. If there's ABC Trucking, or shoot, let's take the company I'm at, SRO Logistics. If I call Scott and P.U. Patel calls Scott, we're going to ask the same basic questions. What kind of trailers you pull, what areas you run, things like that. What do you pay? How's this work? How's that work? When do I get paid? So basically, a recruiter has the same question 100 times a day. It has to feel like Groundhog Day. And I'm sure after you do it 6 months that you're going, man, I'd do anything else. I'd go dig ditches before I did this. And so that's a lot of it right there. It's got to be frustrating. And then here's the part none of you think about. Me and P.U. Patel go to SRO Logistics or whatever company, ABC Trucking. Our plane lands at 7 o'clock at night. We get to the hotel, our hotel reservation's not made, or something went wrong. The hotel says we're full now. You got to go somewhere else. We got to call that recruiter at home at 7:30, 8 o'clock at night in a good situation. And we're going, hey, our hotel's not available. We need a hotel and an Uber and blah, blah, blah. So they're having to deal with this crap at home too. So if all the job was just telling people what a great company it was and why they should come to work there, then it probably wouldn't be that bad. But all the other background stuff they got to do. And then there's office politics, and there's always that one jerk in the office that you got to deal with. And hopefully you don't have anybody you work with in the office with hygiene issues that smell funny, or it's just all of that. I don't know if I'd be good at it or not, come to think of it. How many trucks are at SRO? That's a great question. I think right now, and again, this is a Scott question that probably you'd want to email him at safety at SRO Logistics and let him answer that. But I believe there's 4 of us right now. I believe there's Scott and 3 other drivers. All right. Once again, we're caught up on the comments, and we've just eclipsed the 2-hour mark. If y'all got anything else you want to talk about, throw it up there. We're down to 23, so I think all of more seasoned drivers are starting to go to bed. My soothing voice has put them to sleep. And so many of you will be joining me on the replay gang. But I guess this is where we'll say sayonara, call it a night. I appreciate everybody being here tonight, sticking with me through this. Don't forget, video coming out tomorrow morning. You never know, I might surprise you and do one on the weekend too. Otherwise, we'll see you Tuesday, 5 p.m. Central Time. P.U. Patel giving us the Z's. He's getting ready to, well, I didn't get his video clicked, but anyway, he's giving us the Z's. It's okay. It held you for a review. So on that, we're going to call it a night. Y'all take care. We'll see you. Bye-bye.